My name's Paul Church from Clarity Craft here in the UK. Welcome to another episode of Groovi Tuesday. I hope everybody's well. I can see we have some friends over in YouTube already. Good morning, Ian, and good morning, Karen. Sue will be in the room with us shortly, no doubt. I'll probably get the all clear from her very shortly. So whilst we're waiting for everyone to pull up a chair, what's the weather like? Let's have our weekly weather roundup, shall we? It's grey and overcast here in Edenbridge in Kent. Good morning, Mo. Lovely to have your company. Yeah, really sort of mix it. It's quite muggy and warm. That would be my message from Sue. Yep, Sue's with us already. Good morning, Sue, Sharon, and Jill. There we go. Everybody's coming in now. Jayne, Sally, Grey and Damp. Good morning, Ken. Happy Groovi Tuesday indeed. So, yeah, we're going to have a sort of a bit of a recap this morning because we detoured on the Groovi bus, didn't we, for a couple of weeks with the lovely calligraphy girls. And so we're going to get back on we had a little detour and now we're coming back onto the Jayne Nestorenko floral sampler, but we'll get to that in a little while. We'll just wait for everybody to come in. Cold in Melbourne. Good morning, Clive, Josie, Jayne. There we go. Everybody's coming in now. So it's good to see so many friendly and familiar faces. I mean, everyone's friendly, aren't they? But familiar faces. So I can see we've got 37 eyes in the room. Sound like a bingo caller, don't I? Slurp of coffee. And yeah, there we go. Dull and drizzly with Jayne. Margaret's in South Africa. Good morning from South Africa. It's amazing, isn't it? We've got Jenny in Melbourne. We've got Margaret in South Africa. We've got Sue downstairs. International. Absolutely crazy. I suppose that's the beauty of technology, isn't it? Whether you're tuning in live at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, or whether you're sort of tuning in at a later date, depending on where you are. Mo's back to work after 2 weeks off. Goodness me, 2 weeks. Wow. I bet the time, it's like when they say, oh, I'm going to retire and I'll have plenty of time on my hands. And then you talk to people that retire and they're busier than ever. So I know it's strange, isn't it? I think it's psychological. You think, oh, you're going to retire, stop work. So you have loads of time to do lots of bits and pieces, and then you run out of time because you're too busy. So we've got Patricia in France, Angela's in Clitheroe. There we go. Everybody's coming in, just reading some of those lovely messages. So should we have a bit of a recap on our little detour? Maybe, is anybody tuning in for the first time today? Maybe you've only recently found us. If so, welcome. Good morning, Sonia. So it's great because the system that we use, I can see the chats coming in from Facebook, coming in from YouTube, and it just denotes where you are with a little icon next to your image. So it's great that we've got people coming in on YouTube, because many people now can watch YouTube on their TV. I know that when I watch Create and Craft from home, I don't have Sky, so I watch it on YouTube. And I know many of our friends at home, we multitask. We watch on YouTube, comment on our phone or our iPads or tablets via Facebook. So it's all about having that flexibility. Technology, great when it works, great when it doesn't, or not great. Well, it depends. So let's have a little recap of what we were looking at for the past 2 weeks. And it all started with these lovely calligraphy girls that many of you would be familiar with, that was doodled in the shack. Barbara had them in stamps as well. There we go, look, we've got the stamps as well. And Barb did a craft along with them and ran out of time for dessert. So for the past 2 weeks, we've been having dessert for breakfast. And I took my inspiration from this lovely piece of artwork from Carol Pankstello, taking just one of the characters, like so. And then my interpretation of it was using some lovely designer parchment, mine was a little bit wider than Carol's, but you have that flexibility with the frame around the outside. Use some of our lovely pinky grey new stickers, designer parchment, brads to attach. And then what we also did, we had a look at different ways of attaching, didn't we? So we sent the calligraphy girls to finishing school last week. So we used the brads, we looked at the corner punches, and the new thing that Jayne came up with, changing the way in which you can use the corner punches. So let me zoom in a little bit so we can I'm going to zoom in and then sort of zoom back out. Okay, let's have a look. I'm going to come in like so. So traditionally with our corner punches, you punched into the corner and then they're like little photo corners, aren't they? This, believe it or not, is the same corner punch, but it's that new way of using it that Jayne came up with, where you punch the corner, especially with our two-tone papers, and then you just fold it back and you get a different look. So with this one here, you can see that's how it would work in a traditional style. And then what I did, I folded it back like so, and then took the parchment and attached it into that corner there. So it just holds it in place, just on the corners. Okay, so corner punches, really useful, and I used to use them to create borders, but Jayne came up with this idea, which is brilliant because it gives you a completely different look now to your corner punches. So for example, I did some little display boards to show the different looks that you would get. Okay, so if you want to see how they came about, you can go back and watch last week's episode, because obviously all of the Groovi Tuesdays, all of the shacks, all of the craft alongs, they're all available on our YouTube page for you to go back and enjoy time after time. And you know what? They're all free of charge. So there we go. So the 4 different designs, and you get 4. Well, it just extends the life of your punch, doesn't it? So that's what we looked at for the past couple of weeks. So we sent the girls off to finishing school, kept it nice and simple. Okay, let's just pop those to one side. And more recently, we have the brand new Hippie Chicks. Let's have a look. So we've got the Hippie Chicks, and this is going to be a craft along on the 4th of, I can zoom out now because we're going large. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. Which way am I going? I'm going that way, to the left. So we have an A5 Groovi plate with our lovely Hippie Chicks. And then we have this fantastic stamp set. And Barb did a little sort of how-to yesterday using the some of our Quotes by Clarity postcards. The versatility and the value for money on this is incredible. I'm just going to open this one up just so you can see. Maybe you didn't tune in yesterday. Okay, so let me just show you what you get inside. And this will be a craft along on the 4th of July. So let's just have a look. When you open this up, I mean, this is large. This is A4 stamp set. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more now so we can have a look at them. Where am I going? I'm going that way. Whee! There we go. I mean, look at the size of my hand. So you've got your 3 Hippie Chicks, different outfits, and they're sort of like an online exclusive. And when you compare what you get in this stamp set, Barb mentioned it yesterday, for example, if I take, where are they gone? Where's those calligraphy girls gone? The calligraphy girls are the same size as the hippie chicks. So we could have done 3 different A5 square stamp sets. So that would be £45 if we'd done them individually. But value for money, we've put them all onto one large stamp set. And there's an offer if you get the stamps and the Groovi, you get your saving, obviously, plus your club discount as well. Hippie, hippie, hippie chicks. So that was sort of how it sort of grown from the calligraphy girls into the hippie chicks. Okay, so I just wanted to share those with you. Okay, so let's rewind a couple of weeks. And what we've been doing is we've been looking at this lovely plate. This is, doesn't matter what level of parching you're at. This is an A4 plate. It's a sampler. It is the Jayne Nestorenko Floral sampler. So if you've been doing parching for many, many years, or you're just new to it, then these are great designs that you can do quick and easy cards, or you can do more involved cards. But they're also a great way of learning different techniques. And we started off our learning of the techniques with this piece of artwork. I was inspired by Karen Jackson, the lovely white work, the shadow embossing. Do you remember? And what we did was, let me get a piece of black card. Ooh, let's have a look. So I'll zoom in again now. Like a yo-yo today. Oops, static. Okay, there we go. So we looked at the different ways of tracing out the actual design using the number 1 tool, number 2, the number 3, and the number 4. Then we looked at doing the white work, and we compared using the ball tools with the shading tools. Back in stock. 0.8 we have never had since we've owned Pergamano, because the previous owners had discontinued it. But after many, many requests, we decided, as we now do the production here in the UK, that maybe it was time to bring back that 0.8. And that's what we did. So for me, they were a real game changer when it comes to sort of doing this lovely, gentle shadow embossing. And as my key, what I did, I wrote on the back what tools I'd used, how many layers I had done. And remember, I started here, worked my way round, then let it rest, and then repeated. And then with the shader tools, I did the same process as well. Okay, so that was one technique that we sort of had a play with and practiced. Then we started to look at colour. So on this one here, let's move this outside. Took the same dahlia, and in a way, this is my sort of key that I can refer back to. Okay, so I've coloured in on the front using metallic gel pens, and Barb used these pens yesterday in the shack on the ice cream. That looked so good. It was a little hundreds and thousands, and it was a little sprinkle, then it had a smiley face underneath, and then a little white hat. Yeah, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, you think he's finally lost it, then go back and watch yesterday's shack. I for ice cream. Okay, so we used the gel pens on the front. Then on this one, I used the pergaliner pencils, and I've made a note of the colours I've used, with Dorso oil and a blending pen. Blending pen are sort of key. They really are. Back in the day, we used to use like paper stumps, and they were discontinued. So as usual, Barbara and Dave look at different alternatives and came up with the blending pen. So popular. And do you need more than one? That's like asking Barb, does she need more than one set of brushes? If you've got several on the go, I know it's a little bit extravagant, but if you've got several, then if you're jumping between colours, then it's great because you haven't got to keep swapping the nibs and everything else. So a blending pen or 5 is really good. And Barb showed yesterday in the shack how to use the blending pen with the Dorso oil on card. So not just for your parching. Okay. Jayne said that she needs more than one, and I'm sure Jayne has more than one. I know many of our friends have more than one. So we use the Pergaliners on this one. Then we use the Perga colour pens on the mix mat, and then we use a dry brush to blend. I'll put some white paper underneath in a moment. Then we looked at the Dorso crayons. I used the Lively collection, purple and navy, mix mats with Dorso oil and blending pen. The blending pen. No, I didn't on that one. Blending pen. Okay. So if I take a white piece of card and pop that underneath, obviously the metallic is, there we go, you've got that lovely shimmer, but you can see, I mean, I know I'm not a great colourer, but I enjoy the process and getting the effect that I get. And you can create light areas and dark areas. So this is this was my little template. And then what we did was we followed it through. So I kept with the dahlia. So I'd prepared this was my homework. And then over the past few weeks, we've then been looking at the same flower, the same 3 different mediums, okay, but a different color option. So this time I went for the lovely sort of yellows and reds and oranges. So should we leave it on there? Yeah, let's leave it on there. So the first one we started off with was the Pergaliner pencils, B8 and B11, which are the blendable ones. And we used the Dorso oil and blending pen. Then I asked what people wanted to be shown next, and this was the Dorso crayons. So just need a question from Pat. Pat, have they all been coloured from the front? No, Pat, the only one that's been coloured from the front is the gel pen. Okay, and the only reason I would colour that one on the front is so that you get that lovely metallic shimmer. All of the rest have been coloured in on the back. Okay, so then we use the Dorso crayons, the Lively collection again. So we put a Dorso oil undercoat, where we just put some on a tissue and wiped a whole piece of parchment. Then we blended the red. Oh, and on this one, I remember now, we added the Pergaliner B11 dry and then blended it in. So we combined both the Dorso crayons and the Pergaliner pencils. Okay. And then last but not least, we then had a look at the Perga colour pens. And this time we went direct to the parchment. So I did the number 1. So when I refer to these numbers, these are the numbers that are on the pens and the pencils. Okay. So rather than write, oh, it was red or it was yellow, there's various different shades. So I used the number 1 Perga colour pen as my base. Then I use the number 2 as a tip colour. And then Jayne suggested the number 1 over both of them to blend them together. Okay, so that was something that I'd learned. So when you have a look now, you can see, do I have a favourite? Believe it or not, I actually like this colour combination, the Dorso crayons with the percoliner pencils. So it enhanced, didn't it? Okay. But then I quite like this because it's quite subtle. It's not so dark on the tips. And if you just look up dahlias, there's so many different colour options. And for me, the dahlias always remind me of my nan and granddad. They always used to have dahlias in their front garden when we used to go and visit. So it's funny, isn't it, how flowers can hold a memory. Yeah. And do you remember what we did? I took a piece of parchment, then I scribbled out the colours, because when I look at, let me bring in my tool organizer. Okay, I don't think I've reloaded it yet. Let me just zoom out a little bit now. Hang about. Let's zoom out. There we go. Let's pop that. I can't remember if I've topped up my tool organizer. I mean, this is, for me, this, as long as I put everything back, like I've got a few Groovi tools, my scissors are in there. So I've got my B pencils. So you get the B and the A pencils. Great pencils for sort of everyday colouring in as well, in your stamp works. Okay, blending pens in there. And then, so when we're talking about a colour, for example, on the shaft of the pencil, if it's got white writing on, then it's a B pencil, so it's a wax base, like a Faber-Castell. And then if it's got black writing on, then it's a aqua pencil or watercolour pencil. Okay, make sure I put it back in the right order. Then the pens, look, you've got a beautiful colour palette. You've got 30 different colours. So for example, if I said red, I use red. Did I use that red? Did I use that red? I'm sure there's another red. And there's just the two reds. Was it the light red, the dark red? So to scribble out, and I know many of our friends at home have got a little key that they sort of scribbled out all the colours so that they can pick it up and refer to it. Because what you can do is then overlay it onto different colours to see what it looks like. Okay, so if you put it on white, it's brighter than if you put it on some of our companion papers. So when I was referring to the colour options here, I used the number 1, which is this one, as my base. Then I used the number 2 on the tips. And then I went back to the number 1 and blended them together. Okay. So when you look at what is on this plate, let's pop this to one side now. Let's put it down there. I need to put this fan on it. All of a sudden it's got very well, I've got a short sleeve shirt on, but it's very warm in here because there's no windows. Okay. So when you think that the past few weeks we've just been concentrating on one particular design, everything that we've looked at over the however many weeks it is, you can repeat on any of these different processes. So maybe dahlias aren't your particular flower of choice. Then you've got the lovely rose, you've got the fuchsia, you've got your agapanthus, then you've even got your festive ones as well. And talking of festive, it's about to kick off on Create and Craft so very soon. Christmas in June. But I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So what I thought we'd have a look at now is, say for example, we've taken one of these pieces of artwork, okay, and we wanted to create a little card. As we've seen from this piece that Karen has created, one small piece and then different layers to build it up. But because we've got this grid system, so to speak, we can create a lovely little piece of artwork with maybe 4 windows. Maybe you want to do a little bookmark. So maybe you just want to do 3 of them. It's all about having choices, isn't it? And at the very, very beginning, if you have a look at the plate, okay, you'll notice here there's a wider gap between the boxes than there is this way. Okay, so we had a look at how we can, so if you trace it out, there we go, you can see you've got narrow, it's that way, isn't it? Narrow across there and wider there. And we looked at how we can create equally a wider space between the boxes, okay, or the narrow one. So if you want to see how that was done, then you can go back. I think it was the beginning of this journey using Jayne's design. Okay. So that's a bit of a whirlwind of a recap, wasn't it? I think sometimes, maybe if you're tuning in for the first time, you may want to see where we've been and what we're going to do next. I haven't worked out, no, I have worked out what we're going to do next. Of course I have, Malcolm. I wonder why they say that. Have you heard that? Of course they have, Malcolm. Who's Malcolm? I've often wondered that. Okay. So I thought what we'd do now is we're going to create a little piece of artwork like so. Okay, little square, 4 panels. You can do 2 if you want, or you could do 1. It's entirely up to you. And then we'll take a vote on whether we want to complete it with, I know what we're going to do. I'm going to choose a different design this time. And one part will be white work. One part will be coloured in. And then another part, we've got a sentiment in. And then we'll think of something for the 4th part. Okay. What was that? Roger wants to know where your hot mug is. My hot mug is in the kitchen. I forgot to, I was jumping between different bits and pieces, so I just picked up the nearest mug to me. So I've still got it, Ken. It was just the nearest mug to grab. Okay. So for this piece, what we're going to need the plate. We're going to need our parchment. We're going to start off with the number 1 tool. May need the number 3, depending on which flower I decide to go for. We need our Groovi guard, tumble dry sheet, some Groovi tabs. I think that's all we need to get started with at this point. Okay. So are we ready to have a play? Because that's all we're doing, aren't we? We're just playing and hopefully learning something in the process. Right, let's pop all these bits to one side, okay, because we can use these to refer back to. Keep them in a little folder. I think that a good idea is to create like this little color palette on a piece of parchment. Maybe you could take the nested square and trace out the little squares in the middle if you wanted, or just do little color swatches. I'll do that one day. Okay, so we're going to work on the back of our plate like so, and all I want is 4 boxes. Now, do I want, I'm going to go with the wide spacing in between. So I'm going to wipe my parchment first, okay, with my tumble dry sheet, just like so. Then I'm going to go roughly about there. That gives me some space around the outside. Groovy tabs to hold my work in place, like so. Goggles on, definitely need my goggles. The commercial was from 1978. Is that the Malcolm thing? Can't remember what what it was now. Right, hang on, where am I going? I'm going to zoom in. There we go. Okay. Right. Groovy guard to lean on. So I'm going to do my boxes in the number 1 tool. And it doesn't matter which series of boxes. I just need a set of 4. Okay. So I'm going to do these 2 side by side because what I want is a larger gap in between all the way around the outside. Vicks nasal spray. Goodness me. Yeah, I think that's what it was, wasn't it? Okay. Amazing what you can find out either in your memory or on the internet. Okay, so if I was to draw these next 2 boxes, I'd have a little gap and a wide gap, but I want a wide gap all the way around. So all I'm going to do now is lift that off, relocate this top box back into the slot, like so. Okay, I think that's in there. Trace out the next one, just like so. Turn it around. So I'm always lining it up with this one and drawing or tracing out the one to my right of it. There we go. So what that gives me now is equal spacing between each of my 4 boxes. Now, I'm partial to a rose. Okay. And I love the Jayne Nestorenko, but I also love the agapanthus as well. So I'm a bit torn, but we've got 4 boxes, so we can decide, can't we? But I'm definitely going to go for the rose. Now, don't forget, when we turn this over, if we're going for this one, our rose is going to be here. And if I look at the design, it's sort of pointing towards the middle. Okay, so therefore, if on the front, I want it sort of going in that direction. So therefore, I'm going to go for this bottom left corner, turn it over, position my parchment back in place. So these 2 boxes line up like so. Okay, use my groovy tabs to hold everything in place. Ken's partial to a rose or any other chocolate as well. Yes, yes. Okay, I'm going to keep this one nice and simple. I'm going to go with the number 1 tool from the starter kit. Okay, and just trace out the rose exactly as it comes. Okay, so we're just going to follow the groove. I suppose in a way we could use this rose in all 4 sections and do different colorways, couldn't we? I've got some lovely roses in the garden at the moment, and I did notice this morning that my agapanthus is in bud as well. I've got a lovely blue agapanthus, but I've also got a white one as well. And whenever they blossom, it always reminds me of lovely Jayne. So we're going to just trace out A lovely design. Whoops. See, jump out, slow down. These roses are calorie free, just like the ice creams in the shack yesterday. Low fat ice cream, no calories, and you can have whatever flavour you want. I don't know if we determined yesterday whether it was a strawberry, a raspberry, or it was actually cherry ice cream. And in this sweltering heat we're experiencing at the moment, you definitely need an ice cream to cool down, don't you? I mean, an ice cream is not just for summer. An ice cream is for any time of the year. So, I think so anyway. I'm sure many of you will agree. Okay, so we're just tracing out the rose exactly as designed. Okay. So is anyone doing this with me at the same time, or are you going to do it afterwards? Calories. I'm with you, Ken. What is a calorie? No idea. Okay. Right. Okay. So that is one. And if you treat these as little pieces of artwork, then you can concentrate on them individually as well, can't you? So you could say you could do some white work on this one and then move on and do some white work on the next one. So I reckon I'm going to go for a real medley of flowers on this one. I'm going to go for the agapanthus next. Okay, so do I want to put the agapanthus there, or there, or there? I'm going to put the agapanthus in this one next to the rose. Okay, so line the box back up again, like so. In a way, you become your own sort of florist, don't you? You've got a lovely little flower box. So because I'm on the edge of the plate now, I'm going to use my Groovi guard to concentrate on the area of the design. So what's happening this week at Clarity Towers? Okay, so where are we now? Where are we now? Well, we're Tuesday. If you're tuning in live, it is Tuesday here in Edenbridge in Kent. And the week ahead, on Thursday at 7 p.m, live on Facebook and YouTube, we have a fantastic craft along with Barb, and that's using the easy layout dies with the bees and the butterfly stamp set and the lovely infusion papers. Barb's worked out what she's going to share with you on Thursday. The ingredients list is currently being prepared, and once it's been prepared, Barb will blog about it. It will go out in an e-shot and it will be on our website. If you go to the front of the website and you go to the section, if you sort of scroll a little bit down and you go to a moment of clarity, then you'll be able to find all that information once the guys have uploaded it for you. So keep an eye on that during the course of today. But maybe you want to get the heads up and sign up to our newsletter, our emails that we send out. We tell you about what's coming up on TV, any of our special events we've got going on, special offers, craft alongs. Yeah, it's definitely the best way to keep informed of what's going on here at Clarity Towers. So that's on Thursday, and then on Saturday and Sunday Barb and I are on TV, as we mentioned earlier. Ho, ho, ho. Christmas time on Create and Craft. So at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock on Saturday, we've got some beautiful festive designs from the lovely Jayne Nestorenko. Jazz has worked her magic again in Stamp and Groovi. Okay, so, and we've also got, for those of you, hands up who came to our open days in Ditton and did one of the make and takes, did the Groovi make and take with lovely Hazel. You would have at that point had a sneaky peek, well, not a sneaky peek, you used our lovely voucher pouches. And I know you there, Hazel. So we've got those available in Groovi and stamps. I mean, the stamps are, Jazz has deconstructed the Groovi design and made some fantastic elemental stamps, all different occasions. So we'll be putting those through their paces on Saturday during the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock show. And then rolling into 6 o'clock, we then have the Christmas launch of the Felt by Clarity. 3 brand new designs, some lovely new colour options. Now let's have a look. What do I want to do? I definitely want to put a sentiment. I'm going to put my sentiment over here. So what am I going to put here? Do I want to put a butterfly? How many have I got? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 different butterflies to choose from. Or do I want to go for a dahlia? Okay, question time. Dahlia or butterfly? Where should we go next? I think question from Sue, what time Thursday? Create and Craft. We're not on TV on Thursday on telly. Okay, so Karen, so Thursday evening is a craft along on Facebook and YouTube at 7 p.m. Okay, and then TV shows are on Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday is 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, Stamp and Groovi. And then the brand new launch, which is at 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock on Saturday evening. And then 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Sunday is the final 2 hours of the brand new launch. So no TV Thursday. That is the craft along, which is on Facebook. So instead of the shack on Thursday at 7, it'll be a craft along on at 7. Okay. Butterflies in the lead. Okay. Ken is definitely looking forward to a bit of Christmassy Felt by Clarity. Ken. Okay, let's go for a butterfly. I reckon this one. So it's sort of looking as if it's going to come into land. Okay. So line those back up. Do I want to put the dots? I'm not going to put the dots. We're just going to take, see, if I wanted to, I could just take the outline of this lovely Jayne's butterfly and I could fill the design with something completely different. I don't know why I went high on that. Completely different. So let me just show you. If I do, try and go slow so I don't make a boo-boo. Okay, so if I take this like so, and I lift that off, you can see I've just got the lovely outline of the butterfly. So I can colour those solid, but if I want to add a little bit more detail. I can go in, just as Jayne has done, and added in the extra elements of the butterfly, just like so. Okay, so we're keeping it nice and easy, and I'm just taking the designs exactly how they come. So for me, this is really shows the versatility of the design, that you can create beautiful artwork from one little tile. Okay, maybe I will put the dots in, maybe I won't, but I can go back and add them afterwards. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's have a look at a frame now. Quite like this one, but also like this is from the lovely Agapanthus. So let's have a look. Does that go, or do I want something a little bit more delicate? Do I want the roses? I'm going to keep it neutral, and I'm not going to put the sentiment in because I haven't decided who I'm sending it to yet. Okay, Lillian's, it says gone dark and heavy rain. Goodness me. Remind me where you are, Lillian. I think you're up north, I believe. I think you're in the UK, and I think you are up north somewhere. Correct me if I'm wrong. But wherever you are, you can keep the darkness and the rain. We don't need any down here. But though it's a great excuse for staying in and crafting, isn't it? So, okay. How are we doing? When Latin up from Bladen. Whereabouts is that near? Is it sounds Yorkshire? Sounds Yorkshire-ish. Apologies if it isn't. Rubbish at geography. Anything north of the Thames, although saying that, anything south of the Thames, I'm still lost. Okay, so I love these little swirls. So I could have done all 4 panels right of the River Tyne. Okay, it sounded up north, if that sort of sounds right, so to speak. So I could have done all 4 tiles with this lovely scroll pattern and just put a letter. I could have spelt something out. So you can use these as lovely decorative frames as well. Personalization. Excuse me. So I'm going to leave my message blank at this point, but I know, look, I'll get happy birthday in there. A little bit of a squidge, but I'd get happy birthday in there. I love you. Best wishes. Thinking of you. So you just need to sort of jiggle it a little bit. Merry and bright. Maybe you are merry and bright this time of the year. Peace on earth. We've got Merry Christmas. So you could take one of our lovely alphabet plates. I know we've got many. What have we got? The Universal Framer. I'm sure that's got a lovely little alphabet in there that would fit perfectly in there if you wanted to spell something or smell something even. Jayne's always merry and bright. You are indeed, Jayne. Okay. So now that I've got my design, okay, what I want to do next, I want to sort of complete the frame. Okay, sort of to control not the area in which I'm working. Do I want to pico cut it? Do I want to use the Pico dies to do that for me? Do I just want to use the nested squares? Do I want a deck? All these questions, do I? So many choices to go for. If I grab my, where have I put those? I know I've put them somewhere. Famous last question. Let's have a look in my, here we go. I knew they wouldn't be too far away. My Pico squares. There's bound to be a size that would fit around this perfectly. Okay, I know it looks a bit weird. Okay, so see, I think even if I didn't want to, the Pico square, the Pico Groovi plates are great for giving you multiple layers of different sizes of the shape, whether it be the square, the circle, the oval, or the rectangle. But for example, if I take this now, turn it back over, so I could position that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to position that like so. Make sure I'm happy. That goes like that. Whee! Ding ding. Okay, I'm just having a look all the way around. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Do I want to do single or do I want to do double? So let's do a single line first. Okay. And I'm turning my work. I'm using my Groovi guard to assist. Okay. And what we can do, have a look. We can look at one line. Okay. So let's lift that off. There we go. So I've got a nice, see, that's lovely. Should I have gone to the outer line? Should I? Oh, I don't know now. I don't know whether to put the second line in. Oh, you know what? Let's go for it. I'm going to slot that back into place. Yeah, slot that back into place, he says. Hang about. Hang about. There we go. That's slotted back in. Think. Yes. Is it? No, it's a little skew whiff. Just check it. Yep, I can feel it back in place. Then let's add the other one. Okay, so question that if you're new to Groovi, you may be sort of asking yourself, to Pico or not to Pico? Using the dies, do you cut your parchment first or do you cut it afterwards? Okay. Normally, I would die cut my parchment first and then work inside that. However, since I've only sort of done line art and I've kept everything in the number one using the one, using the number one tool, I would be fine Pico cutting this with the die at this stage. What I wouldn't want to be doing is doing any white work, completing my artwork, and then die cutting it. Okay, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, it can go skew when you run it through if you don't attach it securely enough. So when you run it through, you imagine you've done all your lovely white work, you've done all your colouring, and then you go to die cut it with the Pico dies, and for whatever reason, the dies move when you're cutting it, and you have an oh dear moment. Okay, at this stage, it hasn't taken too long to create the design. So if I did have that oh dear moment, it's not the end of the world. I could cut up the little squares individually and use them as toppers. Okay, but what it won't do, the pressure on the machine won't press down, it won't flatten just the raised line art. But if you spent time doing a lot of white work, then it could sort of crumple it. Okay, so ideally you would die cut your parchment first, then add your design. But for this particular one, because I was sort of going all around the houses and I hadn't thought that far ahead, so to speak, I could die cut this now and it wouldn't be a problem as long as the die didn't move. Okay, and then I would continue with what I wanted to do. Okay, or as Lillian says, you could also pico cut by hand as well. So maybe we'll do some pico cutting around the outside on this one. Okay, so yeah, I think we could do that. We could use our basic grids, 2 needle tool or single needle bold around the outside, and I think we'll do that. You know, I think we will pico cut this manually. Sounds like an old machine. We will pico cut the square in a traditional method by perforating and using the scissors to pico cut. Okay, and for those of you that are not that far in your journey, maybe you want to sort of have a go. If you came to, I know Glynis was so busy at the snip clinic during the open dates. That sounds so wrong. She was so busy. She was inundated with customers, was our lovely Glynis. And I saw lots of smiling faces walking away after spending time with Glynis, who sort of helped them perfect their pico cutting, gave them some great tips and techniques on different things. But yeah, there was definitely a lot more smiley faces than sad faces, which if you said snip clinic to someone, no, we won't go down that road. I'll get told off. Okay, so I reckon that's what we'll do. We'll do traditional pico cutting on this piece of artwork, but what we're going to do, we're now going to look at doing some colouring. Maybe we can go back to our little template we created and looked at colours. Do I want to go the same colours? No, I definitely want to go something different. So this is where maybe I'll combine. I really loved that look of, let me bring this one in. I really liked where I had combined the Dorso crayons and then the B pencils to intensify Ken. So I reckon on my rose, I'm going to go for the Dorso crayons with the blending pencils. I'm going to write myself a little note next over here, because come next week, I'll say what we're doing. Okay. Right. Let's have a look. So we're going to do the rose. There's plenty of room over here. So I'm going to use Dorso crayons plus B pencils. I reckon for my agapanthus, I'm going to go for my Perga colour pens. Perga colour pens. And then for my lovely butterfly, I'm going to go for some butterfly. I'm going to go for the Perga liner pencils. Okay. Perga liner pencils. There we go. So that's my little reminder for next week. Because I'll completely forget what we're doing. So what we're doing now is we're looking at the various different techniques we've covered over the past few weeks and bringing it all together into one piece. Now, if, for example, you prefer this technique, then you can do that on all of it. It's entirely up to you. What we might do is put a colour in the background using the Dorso crayons, but maybe we won't. A lot can happen in my head between now and next week, but I think we can just spotlight these lovely individual elements. Yeah, and that's my little prompt for next week. And we can have a look at colours next week. Okay, so we can have a look. Maybe I want my agapanthus to be white. Maybe I want pink. Maybe I want that lovely sort of lavender blue colour. The rose. See, I'm rose. I'm going towards the lovely oranges and reds. But I think my butterfly would look lovely in the oranges and reds. I've got to move away from my safe colours. So maybe we'll go some pinks and purples, sort of like a blue moon, a lilac-y shade. But we've got plenty of time to think about that, haven't we? Pat says the butterfly may look nice with the gel pens. Yes, good idea. That would give it that lovely shimmer, wouldn't it? Okay, so maybe the butterfly, doesn't matter, it's just my little notes for next week. I'm going to put on here gel pens. Perfect. See, just little notes to myself, because I'll definitely forget come next week. Okay. Can't believe that it is that time already. So I hope you've enjoyed this morning's sessions. Thank you for keeping me company, as always. Thank you to Sue for helping out with all the links. And as always, the lovely design team. I saw James in there, Glynis, I think I saw Julie and Josie. If I missed anyone, I do apologise. But as always, it's lovely to have your company. So don't forget, Thursday, 7 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube Live is the next Craft Along with Barb. Sign up to the newsletters or keep an eye on Barb's blog for more information on that, because there'll be an ingredients list later today that you can download and print off and work through what it is you'll actually need if you want to craft along with Barb on Thursday. Then TV on Saturday and Sunday, 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, beautiful Stamps and Groovy. 6 p.m, 9 p.m, brand new Felt by Clarity Christmas collection, brand new launch. And then on Sunday, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. I don't know why I'm clapping. I'm just so excited that we're in the Christmas mode. Ho, ho, ho. Thank you as always for your company. I will be back in the shack with Barb on Monday. Otherwise, I will see you on Tuesday, where we're going to have some colouring in fun with our beautiful little piece of artwork we've designed. Okay, it'll be interesting to see what you come up with. 4 little boxes. Show me what you've put into your 4 little boxes. All right, so I'm going to go and get prepped for TV. Comes around too quickly.